a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. You know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right.
Protest the anthem. Chanting a movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of, it's the energy of, in memory of them that we love, the trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth, we speak the powers even louder, we can say it blacker, we can say it prouder, a woman vice president that went to Howard, now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent, bringing light to the point where the prisons is, I was saying where forgiveness lives, the ascension is to leave what's left behind, and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right.
We're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch each and every day in afternoon drive time, and so you be in touch, but keep your hands on the wheel. Follow me on all the social media platforms when you get out of the car at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and I pop right on up. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. Also, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. When we publish them, it just means you get that push notification. You'll know right away. And it comes in handy. You know, you're taking a walk or on a drive, you know, or in the grocery store, wherever you are, wherever you like to listen to your podcast, take us with you. You can only do that when you subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. Now, it is your chance to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off on this April 29th. Very important day, might I add. Very important day. You know why it's an important day? It's an important day because it is proof that we can get on the other side of what may appear insurmountable. For the folks who are living in Los Angeles today and were around 30 years ago today, you know that today is the anniversary of the LA uprising. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the second hour. Also in the second hour, you'll have a chance to hear from Reverend Dr. William Barber. He has certainly been in the news quite a bit related to the protests in the Capitol Rotunda yesterday. We'll set the stage for you, and you'll have a chance to hear from Reverend Dr. William Barber, who appeared earlier today on Tavis Smiley to give one of his first interviews after having been arrested in the Capitol Rotunda. But in this hour, we'll be talking with Dr. Jonathan Collins, professor of political science over at Columbia University, really unpacking Trump's first 100 days. We will be unpacking this for a minute, but in broad strokes, we'll be doing that along with Dr. Jonathan Collins in short order. But again, back to the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, ProPublica is reporting that a Doge aide involved in dismantling the Consumer Bureau owns stock in companies that could benefit from the cuts. That's right. A federal employee who is helping the Trump administration carry out the drastic downsizing of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau owns stock in companies that could benefit from the agency's dismantling. That's what a ProPublica investigation has found. Gavin Klieger, a 25-year-old Department of Government Efficiency aide, he disclosed the investments earlier this year in his public financial report, which lists as much as $365,000 worth of shares in not one, not two, not three, but 4 companies that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau can regulate. According to court records and government emails, he later helped oversee the layoffs of more than 1,400 employees at the Bureau. Ethics experts say this constitutes a conflict of interest. Duh. And that Klieger's actions are a potential violation of federal ethic laws. The executive branch employees have long been the subject of laws and rules that forbid them from working on matters that, quotes, will affect your own financial interests. That's what it says. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau employees are also required to divest from dozens of additional specific companies that engage in financial services and thus either are or could be subject to agency supervision, rulemaking, examination, or enforcement. And so, ProPublica investigation. That's the quiet part out loud. What are we going to do about it? Congress. Moving along, the UPS is cutting 20,000 jobs amid reductions in Amazon shipments. CBS News is reporting that UPS announced just today that it's planning to cut these 20,000 jobs this year, part of a cost-cutting effort that's linked to the delivery giant's decision to deliver fewer packages from Amazon, its biggest customer. The shipping company, which operates in over 200 countries, currently has around 490,000 employees. The layoffs will impact slightly over 4% of its workforce. This follows an announcement from UPS last year that it would cut 12,000 positions. So last year they said 12,000. Now they're saying 20,000. The move is a part of the company's plan to consolidate UPS facilities and workforce, all with job cuts. The company announced it will also close 73 of its buildings by the end of June 2025 and said that it may target additional buildings for closure. And inside the GOP's secret plan to destroy Medicaid, the LA Times reporting on something you may have heard a little bit about. You might have heard about some of our federal lawmakers attest to their respect for Medicaid and its generally low-income enrollment base. House Speaker Mike Johnson, for example, was on Fox News a couple weeks ago talking about the need to preserve the state-federal program so it serves young single mothers down on their fortunes for a moment. The people with real disability, the elderly, end quote. That's what he said. As articulated by Speaker Johnson and other GOP lawmakers, this idea seems pretty unexceptional unless, that is, you examine what's really behind their declaration of service for the less fortunate among us. You see, what they're really talking about is killing the Medicaid expansion that was passed as a part of the Affordable Care Act in 2010. They have a plan to do exactly that. It's not secret, but those who are fully conversant with the complexities of the program, they won't get the drift, but other people may. To understand, you have to be aware of 2 facts. One, that the federal government contributes 90% of the cost of medical services for expansion enrollees. And the other is that the federal match for traditional Medicaid, which principally serves low-income families with children, is lower. It varies by state, ranging from 50% for wealthier states like California to more than 70% for poor states such as Mississippi, Alabama, and West Virginia. And so this is a part of what Reverend Barber and Mark Morial, the National Urban League, and a number of faith leaders and people of faith were calling attention to on Monday on the steps of the Supreme Court before they walked over to the Capitol Rotunda. It's a big deal. Yeah, diversity, equity, inclusion programs at companies, yeah, that's important too. But this budget's going to be consequential. It's a lot of money. And cutting Medicaid, cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting these lifelines, yikes, could have far-reaching consequences on the people we love. In perhaps brighter news, Kerry Washington is at it again. What do I mean by that? Deadline is reporting that Desperate Housewives offshoot Wisteria Lane is in the works at Onyx from Kerry Washington and Natalie Chaidez. This Kerry Washington, I mean, she stay working. Deadline exclusively is reporting on one of the most famous streets in TV history, ready to welcome new residents. Wisteria Lane, a reimagining of the hit ABC mystery drama series Desperate Housewives, has been set up for development at Onyx Collective. It comes from Kerry Washington Simpson Street and 20th Television, where the company is based. Written by Natalie Chaidez, who also wrote The Flight Attendant. Wisteria Lane is described as a fun, sexy, darkly comedic soap/mystery in the vein of Desperate Housewives, set among a group of 5 very different friends and sometimes frenemies who will also live on a picture-perfect cul-de-sac called Wisteria Lane. And so maybe a little escapism from Pennsylvania Avenue. Who knows? When we come forward, I'm delighted to welcome back to the show our friend, Dr. Jonathan E. Collins of Columbia University, to begin to scratch the surface, to begin to make sense out of President Trump's first 100 days in office. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. Collins when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community. And as a people, we've apologized for so much. But when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or apply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me! National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you're looking at Dr. Jonathan E. Collins. That's at least to folks who are streaming us live on YouTube. For those of you that are just listening to us, well, just imagine, the Black Turtleneck Ministry. Welcome to the show, Dr. Collins.
Dr. Quartey, great to have you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
It's great. It's great to have you here, especially on a day like this, marking the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. To kick us off, the Griot is reporting that Nelly, as in like the rapper Nelly, he shares a pretty optimistic view in light of President Trump's first 100 days. I'm all for everybody staying positive about any and everything. That's what Nelly told Fox News during an interview at the Stagecoach Festival. He went on to say, I'm a glass half full type of guy. I'm more empowered by bringing people together and making sure that we all get what we need when we need it and why we need it. While Fox News didn't publish the lead-up question, they asked Nelly to elicit his response on Trump's first 100 days. Nelly reportedly comments on Trump's administration. They come after the rapper previously shared that he's not political in response to social media criticism related to his inauguration performance, saying, I'm not political. I'm clueless on a lot of things when it gets down to it. He went on to say, Trump's the president. He won. This isn't a campaign. I'm not on a political campaign. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because it's an honor. I respect the office. And so just to get everybody up to speed in terms of what Nelly has said recently, in addition to what he has said in the recent past, Dr. Collins, what do you take away from Nelly's response to Trump's first 100 days in the context of this conversation around Black men and the allure of Trump to certain segments of Black men, particularly after this 2024 election cycle?
This is a very painful one for me. I'm a big Nelly fan. I grew up in the Nelly era, and he had one of my favorite songs. It was called Ride With Me. And there's a bit of irony here because Nelly's statements undermine a very important fact here, which is that we have been on a ride with Trump that has taken us off a cliff. And it's troubling that Nelly is unable to see that. Nelly is speaking to a certain type of bravado, a sort of hyper masculine bravado that Trump exudes and has, made a signature of his campaign and his sort of public image. But if you look at what he's done from a policy perspective, the most executive orders passed by any modern president, and those executive orders have been targeting Black folks, Black men, Black women, Black communities, communities of color. You look at the bans on DEI, both in the federal workforce, which is a primary area through which Black employment is sustained in this country, and especially Black middle class employment is sustained in this country. You look at the ban that was implemented on DEI in K through 12 classrooms. So Nelly's president doesn't want our kids to learn anything about Black history and Black culture in our school system. And so again, you look at the 100 days and, you know, ride with me off of a cliff, Nelly. That's where Trump has taken us.
Nelly, say it ain't so. Nelly, say it ain't so. Well, you know, let's stay on executive orders for a second as we sort of do a look back on Trump's first 100 days. 142 executive orders he signed since January 20th. That's according to the Federal Register and the American Presidency Project. And just comparison by numbers, the most of any president since 1933. That includes President Roosevelt, who then had the record of having signed 99 executive orders. Trump has signed in his first 100 days 142, and signing 37 executive orders in his first week alone in office. This is to your point. Every executive order isn't legal, and every executive order ain't good for our communities. There are a lot of people who've lost a lot of jobs and a lot of contracts because of these executive orders. And so I'm a little confused in terms of where Nelly sees the glass half full in these first 100 days.
Yeah, our good friend Sydney Kamlager has a really fun series that she's been doing online on her social media account, where she looks at any new executive order that comes through the Trump administration and interviews her legal colleagues and asks them, "Is this legal?" And the response is almost uniformly, "Bleep no." Right? Like, what we've seen is consistent illegal activity led by the White House, by 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And it's quite unprecedented. And I think the thing we should think about when it comes to the executive orders is this. The executive order is a presidential tool that should be used in times of emergency, right? Laws are meant to be constructed and passed through Congress. We give the president the ability to create these kinds of sort of legal constructions in times where we need to act swiftly and under duress. And then the expectation is that eventually those legal acts will be adjudicated and supported by the court system and eventually turned into law that is passed by Congress.
Yeah.
Right? This is how democracy works.
Yeah. Well, we know. Oh, well, I was going to say, well, we know within hours of his inauguration that Trump rescinded 78 of Biden's executive actions, largely related to climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, his favorite, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I think it's also important for us to talk about the bills that he signed into law, right? And so executive orders can be easily reversed by the next president. Laws, not so easy, right? Laws are much harder for a future president to overturn. And Trump has signed just 5 bills in the law, starting with the Lake and Riley Act, which Congress passed just before he took office. The others were a stopgap funding bill and 3 Congressional Review Act resolutions overturning Biden-era rules. He broke George W. Bush's record low of 7 in 2001. And so when we look at the success of his first 100 days, is it largely an illusion, right? I mean, in terms of creating lasting change? Yeah, it's 142 executive orders, right? But those things can be reversed, right? It's 5 legislative bills, right, which are a bit harder.
Right. But the only issue there is that until the executive orders are reversed, the damage continues to be done. And so, good luck replacing the federal workforce that we're losing in massive numbers. I mean, you think about the Department of Education that has lost 50% of its workforce. You think about the amount of civil rights violations that are now just sitting in empty inboxes for email accounts that are essentially no longer active because the Trump administration has allowed, through executive order, the essential purge of our federal bureaucratic infrastructure. And so, like, even just waiting until the next president steps into office, one, assuming that it's a president that actually takes us in a different direction, right? Like, we have a political problem in that we're not quite sure exactly that America is pushing back against the Trump administration in the way that it needs to be. It's not inevitable that we'll see something different come 2028.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important point that you raise. I think the 142 executive orders, I think what it does is it creates an environment where it creates an environment of inevitability, where folks think that, okay, well, this is just, we got a new sheriff in town and we got to get with the program, right? Never mind that the Civil Rights Act is still the law of the land. Never mind the Voting Rights Act is still the law of the land. Never mind the Fair Housing Act is still the law of the land, right? For some reason, folks are looking in this distorted mirror and are buying into this idea that no. The executive orders really represent the rules that folks should be acquiescing to, and should they not, their federal funding may be pulled or frozen indefinitely.
Yeah. And it's a slow burn. Some of us aren't feeling the effects of these decisions now, but in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I guarantee you, we'll see that this is a very different America because of Trump's actions.
When we come forward, we are reviewing President Trump's first 100 days in office. Over 200 lawsuits filed against the Trump administration, and an approval rating at 42%, down from his 45% approval rating just this past March. We're going to ask Dr. Collins to read the tea leaves. What does all of this mean as this budget reconciliation bill begins to make its way through Congress? Does the president still have the political capital he had on January 20th? Does he have enough to get through this consequential funding bill that will reshape how our government operates for the foreseeable future? You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, professor over at Columbia University, when we come forward.
Engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice. You tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward. Have we lost our way tonight? Have we lost our hope to sorrow?
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore says he's optimistic about redeveloping the current Commander Stadium site in Prince George's County. Owner Josh Harris agreed to demolish the stadium and fund a study as the team plans to move to D.C. by 2030. Washington, D.C. leaders are still waiting on Congress to fix a major budget gap. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser says the House must act this week to avoid $400 million in cuts. She called it a fake budget crisis and noted President Trump supports fixing it. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass proposed $13.9 billion budget calls for laying off 1,647 city workers and cutting services. Hundreds protested the plan at a city council budget hearing on Monday. And Atlanta Congresswoman Nikema Williams launched a State of the People Power Tour Sunday to re-energize Black voters. The tour will feature service projects and civic engagement workshops in cities nationwide. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In downtown Los Angeles, on the 101 southbound at Mission Road, crash blocking the right lane has traffic stopped from Sunset Boulevard. Almost an hour's worth of extra driving because of that crash. Trouble in Alhambra persists on the 10 eastbound before Garfield Avenue. That wreck was blocking the express lanes, slowing you from City Terrace. And the 60 freeway in Diamond Bar, eastbound 60 past Grand, disabled vehicle in the right lane.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Critical game for the Clippers tonight in Denver. It's game 5 of their first round series against the Nuggets. The series is tied at 2 games apiece in the best of 7. Clippers coach Ty Lue needs to come up with something in his game plan to deal with Nuggets center Nikola Jokic. In the 4 games, Jokic is averaging a triple-double, 28.5 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 10.8 assists. The Clippers have no players on their injury list, which means Kawhi Leonard is healthy. The Clippers will not get past the Nuggets without Leonard. Leonard has been brilliant in the series, averaging 26 points and shooting 56%. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight on TNT. Shaquille O'Neal has agreed to become the general manager at Sacramento State University. Shaq will help run the school's men's basketball program. Shaq's son, Shakir, transferred to Sac State from HBCU, Florida A&M. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready? Drop it! Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. You know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their program. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on a digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. He is Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, professor over at Columbia University. Dr. Collins, before the break, we were talking about the over 200 lawsuits that have been filed against the Trump administration and the 42% approval rating he's currently sitting at, down from a 45% approval rating in March. We know that there's a major bill that's taking shape right now on Capitol Hill The process of reconciliation is afoot, and House Republicans are hell bent on delivering their tax cuts to the billionaire and millionaire class in this country at the expense of the poor, at the expense of the vulnerable. I mentioned at the top of the show, that was what Reverend William Barber and folks that are a part of the coalition, Repairers of the Breach. That's why they were on the steps of the Supreme Court. That's why they went to the Capitol Rotunda where Reverend Barber was arrested. Dr. Collins, with approval ratings like this, with lawsuits piling up, with tariffs hitting consumer products quick and fast, is this bill, this reconciliation bill, is it as inevitable a win for Trump as it appeared to be on January 20th?
I don't think so. It's incredibly difficult to see it as such because, Trump had everything that Trump has tried to do. It seems to be backfired. And so, Trump comes in and implements this automatic 10% tariff for imports for essentially every country that the U.S. does trade with. And it's actually exceeding 10% in some countries that he's targeting specifically. And you're seeing the effects of that, where we're not seeing inflation decrease at the rate that we anticipated. And instead, we're seeing these additional costs being offloaded onto who? The consumers. And so if everyday Americans, working class folks, middle class folks are suddenly bearing the brunt of all the tariffs, we're the ones who are picking up the bill for the tariffs. And then you're telling me that what's coming down the pike is a potential tax break for the millionaires who are actually going to profit off of the tariffs because they're the ones who are still selling goods overseas, and they're also still the ones who are able to profit from all the things that are happening from a domestic government standpoint to try to inject more and more production into the American economy. It's benefiting the folks that are already wealthy. And so this entire plan is about to blow up in the Trump administration's face. And I think if you're an everyday American, you're looking at this and you're saying it's about time, because there's no way you feel like you're in a better position right now economically than you were 3 months ago, than you were 6 months ago.
Speaking of plans blowing up, the New York Times reporting that Harvard promises changes after reports on anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. A Harvard task force released a scathing account of the university today, finding that anti-Semitism had infiltrated coursework, social life, the hiring of some faculty members, and the worldview of certain academic programs. A separate report on anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, and anti-Palestinian bias on campus, also released today, found widespread discomfort and alienation among those students as well, with 92% of Muslim survey respondents saying that they believe that they would face an academic or professional penalty for expressing their political opinions. We know that Harvard recently adopted a different posture. They said, Trump administration, if you want it, you can get it. Seemed willing to sort of reach into their endowment as a means to clap back at the proposed federal funding freeze from the Trump administration. Does this report, sort of hurt some of the momentum that Harvard has seemed to gain in recent weeks? And what does that mean for other universities and higher education?
I don't think it does, because if you look at the report, everything that's coming out is consistent with what you will find on most college and university campuses, and what you'll find in most spaces, honestly, all throughout America. We've struggled with creating spaces of multicultural inclusion. That's nothing new. That's not a phenomenon that just dropped from the sky. And that's something that, a lot of colleges, universities are actively working through. That's also what happens when you ban DEI offices and programs on said campuses. And so if anything, what the report reveals is that it's incredibly important for Harvard to continue to invest in programs and practices that make the campus a safe space and continue to lead the national conversation on this. What Harvard is doing is, they're saying that we are protecting academic freedom and free speech. Once upon a time, the Republican Party, that was their mantra, right? They cared about free speech and the protection of the First Amendment. Well, Harvard is actually flying the flag of First Amendment rights and trying to protect more free speech from, different, not only just, our, wealthiest elite billionaires. They're trying to protect this for kids who are trying to get an education.
Yeah. And speaking of kids trying to get an education, Forbes is reporting that the repayment assistance plan has been explained. There's a huge update for 40 million borrowers on the Republican student loan plan in late April. House Education and Workforce Committee, led by Republican lawmakers, they unveiled this comprehensive student loan proposal with significant new income-driven repayment options. The plan, officially called the Repayment Assistance Plan, y'all look it up. It aims to make student loan payments more manageable for future borrowers while solving a vexing problem: balances that grow instead of shrink. So, is this too good to be true? I mean, is it possible that the Republicans, may have a solution to the student loan crisis in this country?
Well, it depends on what you mean by solution, because the Trump administration is mostly responsible for creating the mess. We were talking about a college affordability problem, which is the conversation we really need to continue to have. College in tuition in America, especially in elite colleges and universities, is much too high. And we need to be thinking about ways in which we can increase access and therefore through affordability for a higher rate in this country. But completely getting rid of federal student loan support, that's not going to do the trick. And I think what Republicans have learned is that, yes, we might have a degree divide that manifests in our presidential election, where we see more folks with college degrees vote blue and more folks without college degrees vote red. But it's not that simple. Republicans, they go to college too. Republicans, they take out student loans too. And I think they see that a lot of their base is impacted as much, if not more, by the lack of federal student loan support.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that we pay attention to where the poison pill is, because, I was reading up on it before the show and I thought, okay, this may have some merit at first glance, but, I got to wipe my glasses and take another read. The plan that is currently being considered requires a token minimum payment of $10 per month, regardless of what your income is. And above the minimum, your payment is calculated as a small percentage of your adjusted gross income using a tiered system. So, for example, if you earn between $10,000 and $20,000, your yearly payment would be 1% of your income. And that goes up basically with every $10,000 above that kind of income. But they want to tinker with the Higher Education Act. They want to make changes to that legislation. And whenever anybody wants to tinker with existing education law, any law, you need to look at it very closely. Should we expect industry to be the biggest winner if there are any changes to this student loan forgiveness or student loan assistance program?
Oh, of course. Private sector in America is just like the casinos in Vegas. The house always wins.
You heard it here. You heard it here. I'm sorry to hear it. Our thanks to Jonathan Collins, Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, professor over at Columbia University. We only scratched the surface in terms of this conversation around Trump's first 100 days and what we need to be attentive to as a community. We're going to continue to unpack this, and we're going to continue to have Dr. Jonathan Collins back to help us make it make sense. We know that higher education is under attack, that academic freedom, the freedom of the press, is under attack. The First Amendment is under attack. But what can we do about it? What can we learn from history? So we're not out here spinning our wheels. So we're not out here having anxiety attacks in the parking lot.
Well, the first thing that we have to accept is that it can repeat itself. So one of the things that we should be very terrified about is the implementation of this tariff strategy. We have not seen this level of domestic retrenchment into economic preservation since essentially the early 1900s. The last time we saw this type of tariff-based approach, it led to, guess what? The Great Depression, right? So we're talking about the biggest economic disaster in American history was started on the philosophy that we're now seeing implemented by the Trump administration. And so, what's going to get people motivated to respond to what's happening? The fact that we are potentially on the brink of disaster. You're talking about not just a one or two constitutional amendments being potentially violated. The Trump administration is taking the U.S. Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights. He's folding it up and he's wiping it with it, right? This is unprecedented governance, and particularly it's unprecedented malpractice leadership, right? And so if we don't do something, it's starting with getting some stronger folks in office for the midterm elections coming up in another year plus. If we don't see Congress change during the midterm elections, if we don't see state legislatures step up and start to block more and more of what we're seeing the Trump administration just shove down the throats of American states, this could get ugly quick.
I agree with you. I think it get ugly really quickly. I think it's also important for folks to not let Republicans off the hook. I think this sense of inevitability, I think we really got to challenge that, right? Just because he signs an executive order, that doesn't make it a law. Just because the Republicans in Congress don't want to act, it doesn't mean we can't force them to act, right? For example, there were 12 Republicans that sent a private letter to Speaker Johnson saying, don't think we can vote for any cuts to Medicaid, right? It's just not working for our constituents, right? Now, how much of that letter is cover for them to do what they already plan to do versus revealing any sort of trepidation they might have from really doing wrong by their constituents, right? And so, I think one of my big takeaways, and hopefully one of your takeaways and takeaways for our leaders, learners, and listeners, is this doesn't have to be inevitable.
No.
And I think it was the great Alice Walker, the author of The Color Purple, who said that the fastest way that people give away their power is by first believing they have none. We have power, and so do you. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. My thanks to Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, professor over at Columbia University. We'll have you back again real soon.
Looking forward to it. Great to see you, Dr. Q.
Absolutely. Absolutely. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at quinemanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. And you ever heard that saying, behind every great man, there's a great woman? You heard that before? I certainly have heard that. And I suspect you have heard that as well. But I think it's very fitting that we celebrate this great man behind a number of great women, absolutely Black women, to be more specific. Clarence O. Smith, the visionary co-founder of Essence Magazine, has died at the age of 92. If you didn't know, Clarence O. Smith was one of 4 pioneering founders who launched Essence Magazine back in May 1970. He passed away this past Monday at the age of 92. He was a passionate strategist, a masterful communicator, and a relentless champion of Black women. You see, his contribution helped to redefine not only the magazine industry, but the broader cultural and economic landscape for African Americans. Essence.com reporting that throughout his more than 3 decades at Essence Communications, Mr. Smith served as president, leading the advertising and marketing effort that fueled the magazine's growth. His visionary leadership helped to establish what's known as the Black women's market, a concept that recognized and celebrated the unparalleled spending power and influence of Black women, long overlooked by mainstream advertisers. Mr. Smith's strategic brilliance shifted the advertising world's attention, moving investments towards Black audiences with a new level of respect and a new level of understanding. Our very favorite Susan L. Taylor, the magazine's former editor-in-chief and guiding light, reflected on Smith's passing with profound reverence, saying, quotes, "He shifted hearts, minds, and investment choices in the conventional advertising world. With the income he and his team primarily generated, we editors were able to grow the magazine's beauty and depth." You see, Mr. Smith's legacy, it extends far beyond the pages of Essence. He worked to lay the foundation for an empire that included the Essence Awards, Essence Television, a line of Essence branded eyewear and hosiery and travel offerings, and perhaps most notably, the Essence Festival of Culture, an annual gathering that remains the largest gathering of Black people in the nation, if not the world. What a legacy. You know, just last summer, I had the chance to attend the Essence Festival for the first time. And it was incredible. I'd never been to a festival quite like that. And the fact that it has existed as long as it has, that it is firmly a part of Black culture here in the United States. That's a destination for Black folks and folks that want to be in community with Black folks from around the world, is an incredible testament to that kind of visionary leadership. And so, I know they say behind every great man is a great woman, but behind a lot of great women, from the Essence pages to the Essence stages, this great Black man made it possible for us to see them a little differently. And for that, we say thank you. Our condolences to the family of Clarence O. Smith, the visionary co-founder of Essence Magazine. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More in our second hour when we come forward, including an exclusive interview that Tavis Smiley did just earlier today with Reverend William Barber. If you ain't in the know about Reverend Barber's arrest in the Capitol Rotunda yesterday, we're going to get you up to speed and allow you to hear a little bit of that interview with Tavis. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Sean Diddy Combs' attorneys told a New York court he lived a swinger lifestyle and believed in polyamorous relationships, arguing he had no criminal intent. Combs faces charges including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Several D.C. council members say they'll oppose Black Mayor Muriel Bowser's plan to spend $1 billion in taxpayer money on a new Commander Stadium. 4 members support it, but